A couple of years ago, we worked on a planter for a customer. This is a good example of fractional work where we had multiple teams coming together. In this product, we were asked by the client to create an additional feature on the planter so that it could have better performance in the field. And this required us to optimize this design, figure out how to work with it, a multi-dimensional problem because the planter folds up. You have to account for anything you add to it in its down position to make sure that when it folds up, it's out of the way. So anytime you add new parts, you've got a very large four-dimensional problem that you need to solve. It was a fun project. We were able to optimize this design, adding a cylinder, hydraulic lines, a control valve, brackets, other features that were needed for the design, and figure out how to package that all in the planter without having a lot of issues. One of the projects that we worked on a few years ago was a new product feature for an existing product. Because of the changes in the market, this product had evolved. There were a lot of additional features that were added. Customers were using it in different ways, and it was determined that a change needed to happen. We went in to support that project, and it included several different facets. We had to actually take the existing product and make changes to mount the new feature to the product. We had to analyze that the changes that we made weren't going to affect the structural integrity and the performance of the product. And then we had to go ahead and design everything and get it released so that they could actually do prototypes on schedule for when they could do field testing of the product. So this particular project related to implement for a farming operation, and our goal was to add in additional system to change how the loads were distributed when the unit was in operation. So that included designing a hydraulic cylinder, the mounting, the hydraulic valve, laying out how that fit in the machine, and this machine folded for transport, so we had to look at it in multiple kinematic situations so we could make sure that everything folded correctly, that when the whole piece folded together, our new parts didn't get in the way of other parts, but made it a very challenging, almost four-dimensional project from our perspective. It was really exciting because our goal was to do as little change to the current product and actually fix some structural issues in that product as we did the design. So really a fun project. It took us about 4 months to come up with the primary design, coming up with multiple concepts, and then we did about a month of iteration and finite element to really optimize the design, and then did the final drawings. What really made it interesting was there were multiple models and multiple products they wanted to put the same feature on, so we were asked to go in after we did the first one and create 3 other variants. That created a lot of complexity. So we had to try to figure out how can we make this design with the minimal differences between the parts in the different concepts, because they didn't package the same, the unit wasn't the same size, it didn't fold the same. So really an interesting project with all the variants we had to look at. We did the same kind of analysis, same kind of process, really focused on common parts, making sure that we did analysis. Probably the most interesting thing of this was because of all the kinematics in the design, we had to build our own analysis tool to analyze how the system behaved, how it deflected, and what the control system would require from a pressure standpoint to basically make sure that we had the right forces and the right loads while it was running through the field to give the right kind of behavior. So we had to build our own analysis tool. To do that, we had to do FEA. We had to really work on part commonality, had to make sure we had a good design. And the last thing that was really interesting about this project is it had to fit in the same welding fixture in the assembly area. So all of our parts not only couldn't interfere when the unit was folded up, it also couldn't interfere in the fixture when the whole unit was being welded together as it was being created. That made it almost a 5D or 6D challenge in some respects. So really an interesting project. A lot of fun. Our team did a good job, and we were able to use our fractional nature to bring in different resources as needed to do the work that was required for either hydraulic design or FEA, and then we were finished with that. Those resources offboarded, and the main team was able to finish the design. So we're really, really cost effective in how we use the resources, because we didn't just staff it full time with those people. Some of them were only on the project for a week. Some of them were part-time over 10 weeks. It was really a fun project from that perspective, as you got to work with really talented people. We got to interface with the customer on a weekly and daily basis. Generally, how we run these projects is there's a fractional project manager that works a couple hours. There's somebody or two people that might be full-time modelers on the project that do all the 3D modeling and drawing work, or we might send the drawing work out to be done by a different team depending on the situation and how many drawings there are. Then we bring in different resources as we need them, and all that's managed by the project manager, and his goal is to make sure the schedule's being maintained, the budget's being maintained, but also to identify gaps and bring in the right skilled resources when we need them. When we don't need them, they can go back into the pool and be ready to work on the next project that comes up. So really a good example of fractional work on a very complex project with multiple facets to it that was really a lot of fun to work on.
If you're seeking expert engineering support and insights, follow us on social media to stay updated with our latest innovations and services.